Hey, listeners, we are so glad you're joining us today. I'm Michelle, also known as Rebel, and I've got my co host, Rudy, also known as Sage.
Hello.
And we are interviewing the fabulous Philip Palacios from Illuminations of the Fantastic
Good
and
afternoon.
one of the writers from the magazine, Daniella Rushton, who is going to talk about her amazing fairy tale that is currently posted on Illuminations of the Fantastic. Welcome, you guys. We're so glad to have you here.
Good to be
Hello.
back.
How's
Wonderful
everything
to see
going?
you.
So,
It's good to be back.
yes, we love having you guys.
No,
Uh,
sorry,
so
that was my dog.
that's fine. Philip, we had you guys on almost a year ago
Yeah,
to the day
October.
almost.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, October.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we
No,
fit.
no,
We
no,
we
no. The
recorded.
first time.
Oh, the first time. That's right.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
first time it was early August. I don't remember which date exactly, but it's really close. So that's kind of cool.
Another year has passed. Wow.
Yes, I know it goes so fast. So what's been going on with Illuminations?
Well, we just released a issue that was a collection of fairy tales and detective stories. It was a fun little
Awesome.
mashup.
Okay.
And at the moment, we're taking a little bit of a summer break to relax, read, write, work on some of our novels, and kind of plan what we're going to do further on. We've got the October issue coming up again. So lots of
Right.
spooky, scary stuff going to be coming up with that.
Yes,
And
that was outstanding.
thank you. But yeah, right now we kind of just are celebrating the fairy tale / detective issue. And that's been going on. Sam wrote a Sherlock Holmes story.
Oh, very
I did
nice.
I did one where I brought my robot detective back to do another kind of crime noir or robo noir, if you will, case.
I love
And
it.
Diner
our
James Don't Cry.
Diner Dames Don't Cry. That's right.
I love the title.
Cue the saxophone. And then and then Nathan Gilmour did kind of a spy thriller, kind of like Fritz Lang's Cloak and Dagger with what was that one actor? It's not Clark Gable. Gary Cooper, who I rabbit trail real hard, but I want to bring this back and ask you later, Rudy, if you think that Gary Cooper, or not Gary Cooper, if Harrison Ford took some acting cues from Gary Cooper, because I kind of see some similarities in the two after watching High Noon. Anyways, but then we did our fairy tales, where we had our friend Zach Green write a fairy tale for us. And we had Dr. Crystal Hurd write a story that was kind of influenced by Narnia. And she's got a book coming out about the influences and the kind of leadership of C.S. Lewis. That book's coming out pretty soon, so I'm excited for her. And then we had Miss Daniella Rushton, who wrote a fairy tale for us, The Special Seed.
I did. I can honestly say that Philip bought the fairies out of me.
He does that to people.
I definitely skip a little more when I'm around him.
Good.
It was so wonderful to be asked to write something out of the current body of my work, and nerve-wracking, exciting. Yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed the process, so much so that I feel as though it's opened up a whole area to explore for me in the fairy tale genre, really.
Yeah, I would be interested just to kind of get your perspective. I mean, like, we've been on the IF has been on the show twice now, and we've talked about the magazine and we've talked about our process, but coming from the writer getting the invite, can you kind of like take us through the journey of being invited to write, how you felt, and then like actually going through the editing process and so on and so forth?
Yeah. So, so I mean, obviously we connected quite a lot on Instagram, particularly with obviously being with the Panther tales. So when I got that email completely out of the blue, I was blown away. And as I said, I was nervous because I'm new to the literary world. I'm a new author on the scene, and I'd only just got my head around the fact that I'd got the Panther tales in me. And I, you know, that's what I mean when I say you brought the fairies out of me. You expanded my creativity. So as with most things with me, I sort of set about to work on it more or less straight away. When something comes into my life, I just can't put it by. I have to sort of get on with it. I think it's the creativity juices starting to bubble and flow.
I can definitely relate to that.
So it didn't leave me at all. So, and the story, I have to say, came more or less overnight because it was so constantly on my mind. And then it was a case really of developing it. I'd have a day on the Panther tales, a bit of time on the fairy. And then obviously the collaboration was that I worked with the editors at the magazine to make it into what it is today. It wouldn't be what it is today without their invaluable input, really.
So, funny story about how we came to the point of inviting her to write a fairy tale. So she initially, we met on Instagram, a bunch of different, it's a great place for writers to meet other writers and kind of support each other. But she had offered to have a chapter of her book published or under the magazine.
Yes, yeah.
Given the fact that it was already like an Amazon property and that we would have wanted to edit it to, our style, we didn't feel like that would have been a good fit. And we told her that. And she wrote such a gracious letter of rejection, just being like, no, she was the way you handled the rejection of just not being a good fit was so gracious and so eloquent that we went, okay, that's somebody that we would like to have back, which is a lesson for everybody. It's sometimes how you handle rejection or defeat that actually gives you opportunities later.
I didn't see it as a rejection. Honestly, I just think it's my mentality.
That's great.
I really hit down badly. When I do, I think I really flop. But I am so buoyant and positive. I didn't see it as a rejection, really. So
that's good.
There you go. I didn't. Yeah,
because
that's interesting.
Some people have. So.
Yeah. Gosh, that makes me feel even more valued. Thank you. Oh wow.
Yeah, usually I've never submitted to you, Philip, because once you say edit, to me that's rejection.
I think we've had a similar conversation to this with Illuminations.
Right.
I think I was the one saying that last time, Rudy.
But I think Daniella can help me with this. The editing isn't actually failure. Editing is the success. It's the smelting process. So for writing, when you're doing the whole process, the part where you're coming up with the story and you're writing the prose and the plot and all that, that's you. That's very personal. That's where the personal creativity comes in. That's the best part for you. The next step is to have it be understandable for everybody. You're going to translate it in from just your thinking process to making sure that people understand it. And so having to be edited isn't necessarily failure. It's more along the lines of you are polishing yourself up to be the best version of what you've created.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that when like-minded people collectively collaborate, then their success can only be in the air. And I think with Philip, Sam and myself, there is something quite special. And I did feel that. initially with Philip, obviously, but when I then met Sam on Zoom and we started working on the document, I thought, gosh, there's so much scope in the future for this. And I do hope this is the first of it. I do hope this is a collection of fairy tales. I really do. So I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. So don't be put off, Rudy, with the editing.
Oh, normally it's me editing myself. So it's like an
don't lie. When do you do that ever?
It's an internal struggle. Oh, daily at work with the few people that are around within that could hear anything that I might say. I haven't gotten in trouble for anything I've said in about 2 months. No, month and a half.
That's a record, new record.
So it's a new record for me, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
So what did you think of the fairy tale, The Special Seed, Rebel?
Oh my goodness. I loved it. I love the one thing that stands out to me. Well, there are so many aspects of it that stand out, but the fact that the fairies were strong enough to carry the royalty, their sovereigns, to where they needed to go. I loved that. And the tree symbolized for me the tree of life. And that's a big theme. For a while, I did like this tree of life painting style that I gave as gifts to people. And it just reminded me of that and made me think of that. And what an amazing story. Daniella, I was blown away. I love the story so much, and I'm definitely going to go back and read it. I don't want to ruin the story for people who haven't read it by giving all the details, but I love all the details that you put in.
Oh, thank you. That means an awful lot.
Yeah.
I feel as though it covered so many things. Things probably going on in my life at the time, and that's obviously an artist, isn't it? Grief,
yes.
sorrow, humility, equality, the natural world. The fairies having brute strength falls down to so many things. And the tree of life really was the first thing. The tree was the thing I could see in my head. And I could see the tree, but I could see the beautiful witch, and then I could see one grow and one bend. And that's, as I said at the beginning, that's how the whole thing started, really. So, yeah. But you said you wanted to ask me a couple of things about it, so fire away.
Oh my gosh, did I say that? I did say that.
You said that.
I know, and I'm trying to think. Okay, so hold on. I'm going to have to.
While you're thinking of it, let me ask
Yes.
Daniella, what was your experience with fairy tales before being asked to write one? And then subsequently, what did you learn from fairy tales after this?
Well, I've always had a few favourites, and I don't know why. And I was thinking about this when I was saying to you, do you want to have a chat before? Red Riding Hood has always been in the back of my mind. Sleeping Beauty, there are a few, Hansel and Gretel. But we actually have a few art boards in our garden as well from the local art festival, and one of them is of Red Riding Hood. So I just feel as though maybe that could have been a big influence. That's really got nothing to do with the special seed. But when I was little, I used to have fairy tale books. I have had decades of not even looking at fairy tale until you asked me to write one. My husband even bought me a fairy tale book for Christmas.
Oh, yeah?
Really sweet. Look at that. I bought that to show everybody that might be looking on YouTube. That's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've had influences, but you're so well read. read, Philip. You tell us what's your fairy tale, favourite fairy tale?
Oh my goodness.
Where do you start?
It's like that's kind of a huge question. I'm obsessed with fairy tales, and whether it's Brothers Grimm, Hans Christian Andersen, George MacDonald, was it Stephen Lang? No, Andrew Lang. Sorry, Andrew Lang. J.R.R. Tolkien's essay on fairy stories. If you're ever wanting to kind of get into the more academic side of it, I definitely would read that or listen to that essay. It's like 100 pages, but it's incredibly well written and very rich. C.S. Lewis writes quite a few little essays on fairy tales also. I also would go into the folklore of things, which also kind of becomes fairy tales too, like Arabian Nights, Celtic fairy tales and folk tales, because folk tales and fairy tales is kind of the same thing. And what I like most about that, or fairy tales in general, is it tells you the culture. It tells you about the people that are writing them. It tells you about the kind of collective mindset. And so one fairy tale, it's a really dark fairy tale, comes to mind, was in a book of Russian fairy tales. Now those are very, very dark fairy tales, but there's one where it was called The Three Men Who Went Looking for Evil. And there was like a butcher, a baker, and a blacksmith. And one of them realized, there's really no evil around here anymore. I wonder what it's like. And so he goes to his friend, he's the candles maker, and he's like, hey, do you know have you seen evil? And he's like, no, let's go ask the butcher. They ask the butcher, have you seen evil? And he's like, no, I haven't really seen it around. They're like, well, let's go looking for it. So they go looking for it. It's wandering down the road, and they come to a house. In the house is like this creepy Guillermo del Toro-esque witch monster thing. And it's and she's, they're like, are you evil? And she goes, yes, I'm evil. You found me. And then she eats two of them.
Oh.
So it's like I said, dark, but the moral of the story is if you're not in trouble, you want to go looking for trouble, guess what? It'll find you.
Yeah.
Which one of the guys got away?
I think it was the blacksmith, the one that started it all.
Oh, of course.
He got his friends in trouble. You know how that is.
Right. First to go out and look, the last one in the door, right?
Exactly.
I don't think I'll be writing that dark.
No. But because then you could go like The Little Match Girl by Hans Christian Andersen, or The Little Mermaid, or The Nutcracker, or The Tin Soldier, as it was. I think it was called. And then George MacDonald, which I don't think he gets enough press, or what's his name, Lord Dunsany, who was an Irish baron who wrote these incredible little fairy tales, or like fantasy mythologies. Book of Wonder, Tales of Wonder, Of Time and the Gods, A Dreamer's Tale. Those are all some of his books, and not enough people read him, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Basically, just I just love reading them. So when you ask which ones kind of stick with me, I would say it's more of the writer themselves. Brothers Grimm was more of a translation of all of the orally told stories. Yeah. And yes, they did add their own creative flair, and they wrote them down, but that was very much a cultural thing. Same thing with the Arabian Nights and a lot of those fairy tale collections. When you get more to like George MacDonald or Hans Christian Andersen, those are writers, telling their own kind of fairy tales that they want people to read.
Yes.
So it is a little bit different, but it's beautiful. And I have a little quote from C.S. Lewis, who wrote an essay, like a little mini essay called "Sometimes Fairy Stories May Say Best What's to Be Said." And it's just this tiny little thing. The fantastic or mythical is a mode available at all ages for some readers, for others at none. At all ages, if it is well used by the author and meets the right reader, it has the same power to generalize while remaining concrete, to present in palpable form, non-concepts or even experiences, but whole classes of experience, and to throw off irrelevancies. But at its best, it can do more. It can give us experiences we have never had, and thus, instead of commenting on life, it can add to it. I am speaking, of course, about the thing itself, not my own attempts at it. how beautiful is that concept right there, where it's at its best, it can do more. It can give us experiences we have never had, and thus, instead of commenting on life, can add to it. I think that's what a really good fairy tale does.
Yeah, well, it's like what you were saying, Michelle. What literally earlier on, oh gosh, you know, it really resonated with me. That might resonate with you in the next few days. You might recall it in a month, in a year. And I think that's the beauty of this craft, that it can touch our lives in such a, oh gosh, such a way. Yeah, get a bit emotional. Yeah.
The seed's been planted.
Yes.
Absolutely. Good job we called it that. We actually decided on that title. We have a bit of fun with the title. So
yeah. Okay, so Daniella, the one thing as I was reading, I came across a word that I was unfamiliar with, and I'm usually the person who people ask, what is this word? What does this word mean? So you stumped me on a word, and it's probably not difficult, but and I may mispronounce it. Sorry. But tabard, Tabard.
oh, tabard.
Yes. What is that?
It's I suppose another word might be apron.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so sort of in the middle centuries, then servants would sometimes wear a smock to cover their their dress, to keep them clean, to identify them. So the fairies obviously all wore tabards with a star on, didn't they?
Star, right.
Yeah, so a tabard is like an apron or a smock. I'm trying to think who else would wear tabards to. It's kind of like a blacksmith would have worn one. I mean, I didn't research any of that. It just sort of came to me. So obviously, I've come across it as I've been reading, soaking in culture over the years, hasn't it? So
sure. I kind of thought for a minute. I was like, well, obviously, it's some sort of something they wear, but I thought it was maybe more like a stole or something that. Or a cape, not really a cape, but kind of like a cape. I pictured the star being on the back, you know.
Yeah, no, the star is on the front and the back of fairies. Yeah.
So kind of a poncho, kind of.
Yeah, that.
Pardon?
A poncho,
like a poncho.
Yes, like a poncho. Yeah, absolutely. No, the fairies played such an important part because obviously. They worked tirelessly for the harmonious side of the kingdom, and obviously their size was totally irrelevant, which is what I wanted to obviously put across in the story as well, because obviously they were their best friends were the dragons. So totally wacky and fairy tale-ish, I know.
No, I love that though.
Yeah.
I love that the dragons were important to the kingdom, and I love that the queen, like, walking me through her misery and being able to see or read, not see, but read the outcome for her at the end. I loved that. I loved her story. I was like, oh my gosh, I think we've all been in a state of just crushing grief at some point in our lives. And I thought, wow, how well written is this to make me feel it?
Yeah,
all the way through the story.
Oh, I'm so pleased you're saying that, because I wanted that sense of grief to feel really raw.
Yes.
My mother was diagnosed with dementia, and losing your mother while she's still alive was possibly the basis of that grief.
Yes.
And so I understood what it was like when I could see people happy, but I wasn't. And I wanted to write that. And so that was part of the inspiration behind it, and I've consequently gone on to write a collection of poems as well that are quite dark, covering issues like grief. So I can't tell you how happy I am that came across in a real sense, because then people can relate to it and the character felt real.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's so important. Thank you.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah.
And I love her decision toward the end.
Yeah.
When given the choice by the
Spoilers.
witch. What's that?
No spoilers.
No, I'm not spoiling it.
No spoilers.
I'm just touching. Listen, I've been at this a long time, Mr. Philip. You covered. I'm not going to spoil it.
Listen to the editor.
Like I usually do, right, Rudy?
Right.
But yes, I love the decision the queen made at the end when given the choice. I thought that was poignant, and I was like, yes, that just made, to me, that made her a real person that was faced with the choice, and she made the choice basically to follow her true north and just do what made her happy. And I thought, oh wow, fantastic, I love it.
Yes, and the particular, or even I want to talk about the ending bit, but the ending bit has made me cry. Well, when I wrote it, I cried because it.
Sure.
You know what I mean, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah,
I know.
It's so romantic. It's so romantic. So it's got lots of things in it, lots of things, and I love the way they all talk the same language. Everyone is accepted regardless of whether they're multicolored unicorns or it was a lot that just came into it. So
I
it's
did
really,
feel like
really
it
nice
was,
to just talk about it actually.
yes, I felt like it was very detail rich, and I did not miss those details that you just spoke about, and that just made my heart so happy to read that they were all just kind of one people, one love, and they're all just there getting along, and you've got the giants and you've got the fairies and you've got the dinosaurs, and it just, I was like, oh, this is my happy place. I think I want to crawl into this world and live here near the tree. So it was great.
Good. Oh, wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So
question then, after this, what have you been up to? Because I know that, we're kind of getting ready to come towards the end of summer. So like, what's on the horizon for you guys?
Oh, with the podcast?
With the podcast, with Daniella, like what's everybody's plans kind of gearing up for the spooky season?
Oh, goodness.
God, I haven't even thought about that yet.
Start getting cold, guys.
I'm considering, it's been a long time since I've dressed for Halloween, and I'm considering dressing for Halloween this year.
Yeah.
Gonna go as the Great Pumpkin.
Well, I was thinking since I've already kind of got the hair, I was either gonna go with like either a Mexican Einstein or really go way out and that kind of make it a little scary and kind of change my voice, talk like this for a whole day, and I'll be Beetlejuice.
Yes.
I want Beetlejuice.
Yes.
I want Beetlejuice.
You need to do that.
Beetlejuice.
I vote Beetlejuice. Yes.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Don't brush your teeth for 2 months. You'll be ready.
Oh, gross. That'll be fun at work. It'll keep the nasty customers away.
Right. Yeah, I know where that's at. Come here. I'll show you. Come here.
Oh,
So,
You want a little bite? I got something good for you. Come on.
yeah.
All crunchy and organic.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you.
Next week, we're actually going to interview a young lady who's been on a show on Disney Channel, and
Oh,
I think that will be really fun.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
excited to do that. So, yeah, so things are just we're kind of starting back up. We have taken a hiatus for a bit, and
you need to do it sometimes. Let me tell you.
yes,
Yeah.
um, especially me because I think Rudy can attest to this. If I don't get a break, I am not a pleasant person to be around. he he can probably attest that I make myself a little insane and crazy with, details and little OCD moments if I don't take a break from
It's actually
organizing
more that you're
everything.
unpleasant for yourself.
Yeah.
Let's
So
go. I look over and go, oh, I was really nothing I could do about this, but poor thing. Take a
and
break.
it's that look, the look
Yeah,
that he just had
step
on
away.
his face, just like that.
Step away. Just gotta
Yes.
step away.
Bit of self-care.
Yes,
Right.
I'm not very good at that. I've come a long way in the last couple of years, but I definitely still have things I need to work on.
Yeah.
So, and giving myself a break and taking time to read and
Yeah.
relax is something I haven't done much of in the past couple of years. But I am rereading Where the Crawdads Sing.
Is that
Have
the
you guys?
one? Is that something about Abraham Lincoln,
Nope.
like Ghost?
Nope.
I'm thinking of another one. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Oh, it's Philip, when we interviewed you guys last summer, I talked about the book The Weight of Ink. I raved about that book and told
Yes.
Nathan he should definitely check it out. And I feel as strongly about Where the Crawdads Sing as I did about that book. It
Oh,
is
okay.
really super well written. It is an easy read. It's character rich. There's a lot going on. You have to pay attention as you read through it so you know which excuse me, so you know which time frame you're in, because it kind of switches back and forth on time frame to set up the story. But I am usually hindered by that style of writing because I want to just sit down and read and I want it to
Right.
be easy.
You
But
prefer the linear storytelling as opposed to
yes,
flashbacks. Yeah.
but the way it's written, it just flows and I love it. I'm reading it a second time right now.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yeah, so I can help a friend of ours with a class she's taking, and she had to read something and she had specifications for it from her instructor. And I was like, if you read this book, I will reread it and I will help you with this because it covers all the bases that you need. And it's lovely. It's a great story. It's kind of an underdog. No, it's not kind of. It's definitely an underdog story. And it's amazing. I love it.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm reading To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, and it's totally not the book that I would have picked off the shelf. But my brother said, because I'm reading a lot of C.S. Lewis, but that's all too familiar really to my writing and the work that I do. So he bought me this book and he said that I really think you ought to read it and I think it will help you. And I'm about halfway through and I am learning so much from Harper Lee. And we're going back to characters. We're going to how the narrative flows. So there's no sudden breaks and gosh, amazing. And I will do a review on everything and share it on social media. But gosh, I'm learning so much about characters. Yeah.
You know that Harper Lee was good friends with, and I think a research assistant for Truman Capote, who wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Wow. That's
Audrey!
cool.
Audrey.
Oh, I love Audrey. Always
And the very fact that Truman Capote hated the movie, that's still fine. That's fine. Doesn't matter.
Right,
Isn't that
exactly.
interesting? I never knew that.
Oh yeah, he wanted Marilyn Monroe to play
No.
remember Audrey's character.
No.
No, I know, no, but he
No.
wanted, but he was really good friends with Marilyn, and he wanted Marilyn to
Yes.
play the character.
But that's
Oh.
poor. That was poor. That would have been very poor casting.
Right.
I
Well,
agree with
that's
you on
why
that,
he didn't
Rudy.
get to make the decision. However, though,
Yeah.
Breakfast at Tiffany's is a pretty good book, or novella, if you will. But yeah, her
Yeah.
Harper Lee and Truman were buddies.
Oh gosh, that's really interesting.
That's cool.
There you go.
I did not know that. I do like that movie, though.
Oh, In Cold Blood, or Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, Breakfast at Tiffany's, yes.
Okay, because they have their friendship kind of portrayed on screen. The Philip Seymour Hoffman one.
Yeah.
It's not a happy movie, so just
Yeah, I actually didn't or watch that because I'm not a fan of Philip
it's okay.
Seymour
I get it.
Hoffman. Yeah, just,
Whoa,
my
whoa,
personal opinion.
Whoa,
but-
whoa, 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 whoa. Time. Why don't we like Phil?
No, I don't know. He's just, I don't know. Like when I'm watching things and people and partially because it's what I do with the podcast, but partially because I've always just been interested in entertainment news
Yeah.
and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. I would read about him and being out and how people interact with fans and
Ah,
you know,
okay.
and like I definitely judge them based on how they act in public and what gets reported. And I know I shouldn't do that.
No. I just wanted to know if
But-
it was him as a performer or him as a person, because like you probably can't stand Daniel Day-Lewis then.
No, I love him.
But Daniel Day-Lewis is like
A jerk.
crazy. Yeah.
Isn't
so
it?
how
Yeah,
cool-
he's
Yeah,
the most fun
I
in
know.
the world, isn't he?
I don't
He's
know.
he's an incredible actor, and I have nothing against him, and if that's his process, I respect his process. But
Yeah.
Philip and him,
Are similar,
Yeah.
you think? I don't know. But I do love Keanu Reeves. I do. He's oh wow, silent. I don't care if you think he's
Who
talented.
doesn't, Michelle?
Everybody got silent. Everybody's like, "Oh God, we're gonna hang up now because you like Keanu."
the dude is an entertainer. He is an entertainer. I've enjoyed. I love all the John Wick movies, but before that, I watched like Matrix, Walk in the Clouds, Speed. All of those movies are fun. He's an entertainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely is an entertainer, and I loved the whole John Wick thing. I mean, like, I deemed a day in May John Wick Day, and don't ask me what day it is because I don't remember. It's on my calendar. But like, I love the character John Wick, and I love that he plays him, and it's just he plays it so well.
Have you seen the
And-
movie with him and Winona Ryder? I think it's called After the Wedding or Wedding something.
Oh
No.
No.
Yes, it's good. It's all dialogue. It's fantastic.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Here's what I like about anything Keanu Reeves does, regardless of the genre, regardless of the production quality or the writing quality, regardless of all of that stuff. I watch his stuff to see him say, "Whoa." I wait for it. I will watch. I will just sit
I
there
would
and
pay
wait.
money to see that, to witness that in person. Like, I'm a fan. I am a total Keanu fan.
Like I didn't think
Sorry
it would happen in the
for
Matrix, and he did it. He did on
Yeah.
the rooftop before jumping.
Oh, funny. So
his,
funny.
his tagline, but yeah, so that's
But yeah, so
it.
you were reading, sorry, you were reading To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, so that's how we got to talk about the movies.
Right.
That's often
Sorry,
what
Daniella.
happens, though, isn't it? The conversation goes around and comes around.
From To Kill a Mockingbird to Keanu Reeves.
Right
There
on.
you
We
go.
keep it real here at Rebel Sage
Yeah, you
Perspective.
woo, woo. From fairy tales to Keanu.
And it's all got to lead to him one way or the other.
Oh yes, yes, of course.
So I mean, like right now it's summer. We're all living in the heat of it. I was gonna ask Rudy. One of the things that is great about summer is all the cold drinks. I drink a lot of iced coffee, iced tea, and ice cream. And Rudy one time told me a really great story about how, because we all know that he has a pretty exciting past of acting. Can you tell me about that time? Can you tell me about the time you portrayed an ice cream?
What? What?
Remember you told me the story where you were, was it Briars or was it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So I did a fair number of commercials when I was acting, and one of
The
them was
commercial
for,
king.
yeah, that's what they called me in one of my acting classes.
Fabulous.
I'm sorry.
Fabulous.
Oh, it's all right, I guess. The work's fun when you can get it.
Hey, you worked with Chris Kattan, okay?
Right. I didn't see him. He ended up in the same commercial. But anyway, so I went out for this Briar's ice cream thing, and the character in the commercial was an ice cream churn. Okay. So I talked to my agent. I'm like, a churn? I mean, like the wood, the bucket with the handle on it? He's all, yeah, ice cream churn. I'm like, and how am I supposed to audition for this? Look, Rudy, just go. They'll tell you what to do. So I'm like, okay. So I go into the room, and this guy hands me this piece of cardboard, about 4x4 piece of cardboard. He's all, now hold that up, and I hold it up, and I'm covered. I can't see anything. He's okay. Now walk this way. Now walk that way. Okay, now pretend you're running. Okay, now kind of dance around. I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm just thinking in my mind, this is ridiculous. So then they call me back. And it's the same piece of cardboard. And now that's a room full of people. And I do the kind of same, they say, do this, do that. And so I do it. And they hired me. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this is kind of weird because you're not going to see my face. And I'm talking to my agent. I'm going, how are they supposed to pay me? Do I get paid for this? Or is this background? What's the deal here? So, no, you booked a principal role. You were the churn. You're going to be in 4 spots. Like 4 years. You're going to work all week. I'm like, are you kidding? Wow, that's great. But they're not going to see my face? No, they're not going to see your face. Okay. So they sent me to North Hollywood to this costumer. And I walk into the place, and they're like 3 different versions of Smokey the Bear. There's all these like there's a few gargoyles in the corner. There's a Bob's Big Boy. There's all these iconic characters with these big suits. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they gonna do to me? So they show me the churn, and it's just this big foam rubber bucket with holes for my legs and straps to strap it on. And on the inside, there's a little handle so I can make the handle on the outside move up and down, move like this. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I'm thinking ice cream, I'm thinking, this is strange. But then they start setting up these different scenarios that the churn is doing. And they're all very risque. Like the first one is I'm the churn, but I'm also the pool boy. So I'm out there. They connect They connect a pool skimmer to my little arm thing, and so I'm trying to skim the pool on the inside, and I'm listening
Oh
to
my gosh.
yeah, and they have these two
Oh my
ladies
God.
that are on loungers at the end of the pool, and they're like, they're talking about me like I'm a piece of meat. I mean, and they're eating their ice cream, and they're thinking these lurid things back and forth about me. I'm like, okay, this is really not ice cream talk. I mean, kids eat ice cream, but this is like PG-13. We're starting at PG-13 with the ladies at the pool talking smack. So then we go to the other one. The next one is in this high rise where I'm like an office assistant, and once again there's this and she's done up to the nines, business lady. The skirt's a little bit short. She's got her legs kicked up on the desk, and she has the bowl of ice cream. Then she's like, come in. I'm like, oh geez. And here I come walking into the office, the churn, and she starts making these advances at me and all these kinds of things. And I'm like, okay, this is still PG-13, but definitely getting a little more risque. Now, the one that really got me was the churn is having a nooner with a lady, and the husband comes home. So they had me try to jump out the window with this costume on. And so I'm doing the thing, and we did it about 3 times. And on the third one, all I hear is cut. And then the entire set, including the young lady that was in the room with me, just exploding in laughter hilariously. And so I go and I look back at the daily. I'm like, I mean, I know this is ridiculous, but it can't be all that funny. And I go back and I look at it through the rewind and show it to you. And it blew my mind just seeing really just my legs, but seeing me trying to propel this big foam bucket through a window, and you hear in the background, honey, I'm home. Oh no, you gotta go. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, gosh, I don't know.
Oh, dear me.
Yeah, why is this? For one, why is the churn just like the end all be all of sexual attraction for ladies?
Right.
I mean, it's ice cream, and it was just very weird. It was very weird. I mean, I made a lot of money. That was fun, but nobody saw my face. People
Saw your
saw the
legs.
commercial. They saw my legs.
They're
Which
like, ooh, look at those legs on that churn.
hey, you know what? They're still doing pretty good. I don't have them insured, but. I mean, if they want to bring back the churn, my legs are definitely still in shape for it. But yeah, it was just a really odd experience, and also it kind of opened up the door to what kind of oddities go on and what it really takes to do what they do. For instance, we were waiting on a creative conversation that was happening before shooting. And I was like, I'm in the suit and it's hot, and it's uncomfortable. And then I have a handler. So I asked my handler, I'm like, hey, how long is this going to be? I mean, this is getting really uncomfortable, and I'm just kind of sitting here waiting. So he gives up the radio. He's like, hey, would you like to get out of the suit? Oh yeah, I'll let him out of the suit. I'm like, oh, thanks for letting me out of the suit. And so I'm walking around and I see where they're chatting. So I get up kind of close and I'm listening. And the whole conversation was about how many scoops of ice cream to put into the bowl for literally a second and a half.
Gosh.
Once it's cut down, it's going to be there for a second and a half. That's all you're going to see it. 45 minutes for this conversation.
The tiny,
Wow.
the tiniest things, the
Right.
detail.
Yeah, it's all in the detail.
It's all in the detail.
Yeah, and then I put the suit on, and as I'm going in to do the thing, and then they got the executive with the short skirt, legs up on the desk. Hi. Fortunately, there's enough ice cream in the dish.
Oh, God.
Was this
Yeah.
in the 90s or early 2000s?
It was early 2000s.
Yeah, that sounds like an early 2000s.
Yeah, back when you can get away with stuff like that. 'Cause
Frosted tips on your hair.
I was definitely. No, I never frosted my tips.
I did.
Of course you did.
I was a kid. I was young.
Right. Actually, I had a frosted streak in the 80s. Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah,
well, we've covered a lot of topics today.
Yeah,
We
haven't
have.
we though? This
Fairy
has gotten
tales
out
in
of
summer.
control.
Yeah, fairy tales, Keanu Reeves, dirty ice cream.
Dirty
Yeah.
ice cream.
Or would that be cheeky? Or I mean, because
Saucy.
saucy ice cream.
Saucy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I just because I mean I see two images. I see the inside of the churn and it collapsing a little bit as I hit the wall, and then I see what they shot, which is me trying to jump out of a window in the churn. So whenever I see it, it's just hilarious. I think it's just hilarious to me. The things we do for money, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
That's insane. So, guys, I really don't have anything else. So
You can't top that.
Yes, I can't. That's impossible to top. I mean, maybe ever. Like that's gold right
Yeah.
there.
Well, I mean, I could tell you about the audition I had to do for the Six Flags ride called the Screaminator.
Oh no, let's save that for another show.
Save that for
Definitely
Halloween.
save that. So
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, Philip and Daniella, thank you so much for coming on and
Yes.
joining
Thank
us
you so much.
today.
Wonderful to see you both.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was
really
great
good
to talk to
seeing you.
y'all and catch up, and
Absolutely.
we look forward to everything that you guys both have upcoming.
Yeah.
And listeners, please don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts because that helps us
Oh, 10 there.
tremendously.
5.
Yes, 5.
Michelle, would you like me to read a little paragraph from Fairytale?
Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Daniella. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
No, I just didn't want you to miss it. Well, I'm going to read just a tiny bit that I know you'll love. The special seed. Fairies acted as servants of the castle. Although tiny, they possessed brute strength and could carry their sovereigns between the innumerable rooms. Each fairy wore a tabard that fitted perfectly around their wings with the royal emblem of a golden star. A coat of arms wasn't needed in a kingdom where hostility didn't exist.
I love it. I love it.
That's adorable.
And guys, you really should check this story out. It's amazing. The fairy tale is amazing. I'm a huge fan. So, hey, Philip and Daniella, why don't you give our listeners your information so they can find you and read what you have to offer?
All right, I'll go. You can find us at illuminationsfantastic.com. Right now, as I said, we've got the fairy tale / detective issue out, and our horror issue will be coming out in October. So you can look for us there. And if you're looking for Daniella's story, you can find it on the current issue that we have out on our website right now.
Outstanding.
And Daniella, where do we get you?
Okay, well, I'm thinking about my next fairy tale. I'm writing the poem when I feel I want to, but my main focus is the Panther Tales trilogy, which book 1 is out now, available on Amazon. And I'm currently working on the sequel and laying the foundations down for the third book. You can get me on all platforms of social media, The Panther Tales, or my website, which is thepanthertales.com. And please leave a 5-star review for this show.
Yay!
Yay! So, all right, guys. Well, thank you. We will talk to you soon. Bye, listeners.
I hope so.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.